Hello friends, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I have a ton of easy meal prep and freezer meal prep to share with you all. It is early morning, so I thought that I would start out with some easy and delicious breakfast meal prep, starting off with just pre-washing and chopping up some fruit. I feel like if there is always pre-chopped fruit in the fridge, we are more likely to grab for it during the day, and it just keeps us all on track eating more healthy. When I do chop up my apples though, I do like to make sure that I add some lemon juice onto the top of those just to make sure that they don't go brown so quickly. I know that with my 4-year-old, if he sees brown on his apples, he's a lot less likely to eat them. So I do like to make sure that I throw some of that on, and I also give that a little bit of a shake once I put the lid on just to make sure it coats all of the apples. I'm also going ahead and just chopping up the strawberries and blueberries, and one good thing about preparing your berries is if they don't all get eaten and they start to look a little bit old and need to be thrown out, you can always just throw them in the freezer and they can be repurposed for smoothies later in the week or month, so they just never go to waste. And when it comes to apples and oranges, well, they just don't last that long in this house anyway, but they can also be repurposed into smoothies as well. So this next breakfast freezer meal prep idea has always been one of our go-tos. We have always made egg muffins for the freezer, but recently we have been making the copycat Starbucks egg bites, and the kids have been loving them. So I just am starting out by cooking up some of this bacon here. Although you can buy your bacon pre-cooked at the shops these days, I do find that it is way overpriced, so I much prefer to cook it up myself, and I find it gets a lot crispier when you do it yourself as well. So I'm just pre-chopping that first to have that ready. So a quick and easy way that I like to make these DIY Starbucks egg bites is just by putting all of the ingredients into a blender and mixing them up that way. It gives it a really smooth, frothy consistency and just makes them cook so much better. So I've just gone ahead and added 10 eggs into this blender here, and then I'm also adding in this 200-gram tub of cottage cheese. I like to buy the one that's high protein and 97% fat-free, and I'm just putting that whole thing in before adding about 2 handfuls of grated Colby cheese, and I'm also adding in some pepper to this as well before blending it. You can add salt as well to these, but I just find because there is bacon in this recipe, it does have enough salt in it in the first place, and I do try to make sure not to add salt to any recipes that I can avoid it in. So I've just blended that down for about 3 minutes, and then I'm just going ahead and putting the bacon in to the bottom of my pre-sprayed muffin tin here, and then I'm going to evenly spread out that egg mixture from the blender. But I will share one tip here. I find that the secret to making these taste like copycat Starbucks egg bites is by putting a tray of water in the bottom of your oven while it preheats, and also just keeping it in there while you're cooking these. I don't know the science behind it, but it's a little tip that was shared with me that I wanted to pass on as well. These come out perfect every single time we freeze these, and the kids love them. Next up, just like our fruits, I like to prepare our vegetables, and a lot of these are for freezer meal prep. I find that most vegetables that we pre-chop can go ahead and be put in the freezer ready to go for any night that we're going to be having, like sheet pan vegetables, or even if I want to make up a soup, or even with the peppers, I do like to use them to throw onto a sheet pan. If we're having chicken fajitas or shrimp fajitas, they are super handy to have pre-chopped in the freezer ready to go. But today I wanted to pre-chop these vegetables so that I could have some veggie sticks and snack bags in the fridge this week ready for me to pull out and just have as a snack or even for lunch. But just like the fruit, a lot of these things, if I don't get through it during the week, I just go ahead and throw them in the freezer, and they make for really quick and easy pre-pepped sheet pan vegetables. And if you've been here a while, you know that we have sheet pan vegetables every single week on our meal plan, so they never go to waste. Now for these next two vegetables that I'm chopping up, the cauliflower and broccoli, I feel like I need to put in a little disclaimer here. This is the first time that I had actually cut up cauliflower and broccoli to eat raw in some veggie packs in the fridge. I normally just have my carrot sticks, sometimes celery. A lot of the time I do have capsicum and tomatoes, sometimes cucumber as well, but this is definitely a first when it comes to eating broccoli and cauliflower raw. And I got this idea from my friend Jen Chapin. You might know her, she's here on YouTube as well, and she shared I think it was a keto friendly meal prep video a couple years ago, or maybe a year ago. It was a while ago now anyway, but I was watching that one and I saw that she put raw broccoli and cauliflower into her veggie packs, and I thought, I have never thought to do that. So I still have her to thank for this, but if you don't have a super strong stomach, I do not recommend you eating your cauliflower raw. It is very hard to digest. So that's just a little disclaimer that I wanted to add to this bit. I did end up taking all of the cauliflower and broccoli out after the first pack that I ate, and I just put those into the freezer ready to go onto the next sheet pan meal that we have, so they won't go to waste. But I can't say I will ever be adding them into my veggie snack packs again. But to go with those veggie packs, I've just grabbed some of my favorite spicy capsicum dip from Woolworths. This tastes amazing on vegetable sticks, and I've just made up all of my little bags here of mixed veg to snack on during the day. But as I said, I took that cauliflower and broccoli out quick smart. And then I also have a container here of just carrot sticks and also some chopped broccoli and cauliflower on the side here. All of this is going straight into the freezer, as well as some chopped up capsicum down here as well. This is just a bunch of freezer meal prep that is going to come in handy during the week when it comes to dinner time. I feel like meal prep wouldn't be complete without some kind of treat. So this week I made some healthy chocolate muffins. I wasn't too precise with the ingredients. I just tried to substitute certain things with healthier alternatives like honey instead of sugar and coconut oil instead of using butter. And then I also use these no-chew chocolate chips. These are great for diabetics or for anyone on a low-carb diet. But this is exactly what I love about baking. There is a list of substitutes for pretty much every ingredient these days. I feel like one key ingredient that I used in this chocolate muffin recipe that I don't usually use is the Greek yogurt. So that's one thing I would definitely recommend if you haven't tried baking muffins with that before. It makes a huge difference. But I'll leave the ingredients and method that I used for this healthy chocolate muffin recipe in the description box down below if you wanted to try them out for yourself. They actually turned out so moist and delicious. So this healthy chocolate muffin recipe makes for great freezer meal prep. I love chucking these in some foil and into the freezer for a later date once we've all had one. Otherwise, if I was to leave these out, they would all be gone in one day. So by freezing them, they just make sure that they last that little bit longer and I still get a muffin with my coffee later in the week. So this next easy dinner recipe is chicken Alfredo pasta bake. I have showed this before on my channel, but pasta bakes are one of my absolute favorite freezer meals to make ahead of time. So I'm just starting off by slicing those chicken breasts into schnitzels, and then I'm just going to put some oil into these pans here and I'm going to cook those schnitzels down. You can actually cook these earlier in the day or the day before just to make the assembly time so much quicker that night when you're actually making the pasta bake. Once they are cooked, I'm just going to put them onto a plate with some paper towel to rest for a bit just to make sure those juices rebalance throughout the chicken. And then I'm going to dice up that chicken and then put on the pasta to boil. So now that pasta's on, I'm just making up these chicken Alfredo recipe-based sauces as per the instructions on the back. And then I'm just going to be adding that in to all of the bake trays, except I do find that this was not enough sauce. I feel like you need at least 2 jar sauces worth per bake, just because when it does freeze and then unfreeze, once you defrost it and cook it up, it does dry out a little bit. But I feel like if you had 2 jars of sauce, it would just be the perfect amount, and I'll definitely be doing that next time. But I've also just cooked up 2 big 500-gram bags, as you saw, of bow tie pasta, and that seems to be perfect for 3 of these size trays. Except I do think that if I had a bigger pot, I would definitely cook up more and make more of these tray bakes, because they seriously make for such a quick and easy dinner idea when I just really can't be bothered cooking. And this is exactly why I love freezer meal prep. It makes meal planning during the week and during the month so much easier. So to finish these off, I'm just adding in a mix of Colby grated cheese and mozzarella grated cheese. I feel like the mix of these two just makes such a perfect brown topping, as well as it not being too chewy. I feel like mozzarella is a really chewy cheese when it's on top, and Colby's more of a melted cheese, so they mix really well together. But of course you could add any cheese to the top of yours. This is just the 2 that I like to add to ours. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put one of these in the oven, and I'm going to wrap the other 2 up with some foil and put those into the freezer ready to go for another night as a lazy dinner idea. But just in case for some reason somebody else needs to cook this instead of myself, I do like to put the instructions on top of the foil just in case my partner needs to know or something like that. So I do put these in on 180 for an hour and a half if they're frozen, but if I have managed to thaw it out the day before in the fridge or something, then I only put them in on 180 for about 30 minutes. But if you enjoyed today's monthly meal prep and freezer meal prep video, I would love for you to go ahead and leave this video a huge thumbs up. It really helps my channel out a ton, and it also lets me know that you want to see more videos like this. And also, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I upload new videos every single week and I would love to have you here.